Om Namah Shri Atirajaya.
Om Namah Shri Atirajaya.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Swamine Tapaharine.
Swamine Tapaharine.
So this is the Kashipur Garden House, located on the outskirts of Kolkata. The huge compound, a large number of trees, and the river Ganga close by, plenty of breeze. Sri Ramakrishna saw this place and was quite pleased. He was shifted here on the 11th of December 1885 and spent the last 8 months of his life. What you see right in front of you in the building is the door, main door. When you enter through the main door, to the right, you find a room, more like a parlor. This was used by a few of the young men and also household devotees for staying in the night. That was the place where they used to sleep in the night. To the left, there is a door. If you pass through the door, it takes you outside the building. It's more or less a corridor. And to the right, you have a staircase. If you climb up the staircase, you come to Sri Ramakrishna's room. This is the room where Sri Ramakrishna spent the last 8 months of his life. Below the staircase, there was accommodation, and that was converted into a kitchen for Sharda Devi. That became the kitchen as well as the place where she would sleep in the night. There was a common bathroom, and that common bathroom was used by Sharda Devi early in the morning, around 3 o'clock. Only afterwards, the other people, men, there were no other ladies there. The other men would go and take bath. This was the routine. And thrice every day, at the breakfast time, lunch time, and dinner time, the whole place would be cleared. Sharda Devi would come upstairs and feed Thakur and go back. Or, if she was not in a position to come, she would send for Latu, a scheduled caste boy from Bihar, Chhapra village, who was literally the constant attendant of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to spend a lot of time, absolutely uneducated, illiterate. Later he became a great sadhu, Adbhutananda. He was in attendance of Sri Ramakrishna. He was the only one who was allowed to go and meet Sharda Devi. Otherwise, Sharda Devi would have parda. Very few people had seen the face of Sharda Devi. Narendra himself later says, I rarely got an opportunity to see the face of Sharda Devi. That is why she was called Lajja Patavrite, covered by the veil of modesty. And this was the arrangement in the household. Now, timetable changed. Householders could come only on certain days. The young boys had to stay there looking after Thakur turn by turn. So Naren drew up a timetable for all of them. They all agreed on that. On the 1st of January 1886, the first incident happened in Kashipur Garden House, which indicated that Sri Ramakrishna was in a highly exalted mood. It was the New Year's Day, holiday in Kolkata. Coincidentally, it also was a Sunday. So in the morning itself, a lot of household devotees came to see Sri Ramakrishna. But they didn't want to disturb him because Thakur was a patient of cancer So they stayed outside in the garden. If you come out of the building and turn left and walk straight, you come to a bend. You turn and again turn. And at the end of that particular lane, before you turn right towards the main gate, there is a mango tree. That mango tree is still there, but it is a clone, not the original mango tree. And all the householders were sitting there talking. Sri Ramakrishna had a light lunch, slept for some time, and around 3 in the afternoon, he told his 2 attendants, boys, I feel much better. I want to go out into the garden. I want to have some fresh air. They were very happy. So they came to Thakur, helped him get up, slowly brought him down the staircase, and they came to the door of the building. The householders from a distance saw Sri Ramakrishna come out of the building supported by 2 young people. So 2 or 3 of them came forward, relieved the young people of the load, and they started escorting Sri Ramakrishna towards the householders. And what did these young people do? They went upstairs to Thakur's room, removed all the bedding, took the bedding to the terrace, and were cleaning up the bedding when they could look down and see at a distance what was really happening near the mango tree. Thakur slowly came walking towards the mango tree. One by one, the householders stood up and did namaste to Thakur. One of them, Girish Chandra Ghosh, a very famous Bengali dramatist. He came forward and touched Sri Ramakrishna's feet. Thakur asked him, Girish, I am told that you go around the city of Kolkata announcing everywhere that this is an avatara. He didn't say I. This is an incarnation of God. What is it you have seen in this which makes you say so? Girish was a dramatist, he was a poet, so he folded his hands and said, He whose glory the great Valmiki could not describe, he whose glory the great Vyasa could not describe, how can this poor poet describe the glory of him? Which means you are Rama and Krishna combined together. Sri Ramakrishna's hair stood on end. There was a thrill which ran through his body. He touched Girish on the chest and said, Chaitanya Hok, let your consciousness arise. Girish immediately became rigid where he was standing, completely lost to the world. I told you already, Shakti Chalanam, Shakti Path. One by one the householders came and touched Thakur's feet. Thakur touched all of them on the chest, and all of them had different experiences. Some people like Girish stood still. Some others started laughing. Some others started crying. Some others started rolling on the ground. All of them had some kind of experience or other. Later, some of them asked the 2 young men who were cleaning the bedding on the terrace, you missed a golden opportunity. If you had come, you also would have had this experience. The young people laughed and told them, we have that experience every day. You are having it only rarely, so you think it is extraordinary. We have that experience every day. We have been so well trained as all this. That day, Thakur appeared to be in a mood to dole out this kind of experience to whoever came and asked for. You know, according to our mythology, in the heaven, there is a tree, Kalpa Taru, wish-fulfilling tree. You ask whatever you want from the tree, it grants you that. So the devotee said, today Thakur was like Kalpataru. From that day in the Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission circles, 1st of January is always celebrated as Kalpataru Divas. We also celebrate it here. Kalpataru Divas. This year, on the 1st of January, there was a big procession organized by Ramakrishna Mutt in Bangalore to celebrate Kalpataru Day. Our students also participated in that. This was the first incident which happened. February came around. We are now in February, and at the end of February, we are going to have a very major festival. Shivaratri, the night of Shiva. How do you celebrate Shivaratri? By having a nice meal?
No, fasting.
Fasting. You have to fast in the night. Not only fasting, vigil. You have to keep awake in the night. Not only keep awake, you also must worship Shiva 4 times in the night, once in 3 hours. 9 p.m., midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. The boys decided to celebrate Shivaratri, but they could not celebrate that inside the building. Thakur was not well. They decided to celebrate it below a tree, huge tree, by lighting a fire, dhuni, sitting around it and worshipping Shiva. That afternoon, a very peculiar incident happened, which is difficult for us to understand and explain. Sharda Devi was downstairs in her room and kitchen. Suddenly she heard the sound of somebody running down the steps. Out of curiosity, she came out. She saw Sri Ramakrishna come down the steps running, run past her and go out of the building. She was surprised. How could this person who can't even get up from the bed without some assistance be running like this? She stood there. 2 or 3 minutes later, Sri Ramakrishna came running back, ran upstairs on the staircase. You can imagine. And went and slept on the cot. Sharda Devi followed him, came inside the room and asked him, "What is all this? What is all this which happened?" Innocently, Sri Ramakrishna asked her, "What happened? What happened?" "Nothing happened. I saw you running down the steps and come running up the steps. And you are supposed to be suffering from throat cancer." Then he said, "Oh, that, the boys tonight want to light a fire below the tree to meditate. And I realized inside a cavity in the tree, there is a king cobra. And snakes are all cold-blooded animals. They can't withstand warmth. As soon as they light the fire, the snake would feel the warmth, would come out, and it would be angry, it would bite the boys. So I went and told the snake, 'Get lost. Don't trouble my boys.' And the snake said yes and went away." He was a tantric. He knew the language of animals and birds and other things. Can you believe this? Sharda Devi was the witness. And one thing about these people, they would never tell a lie. If they told a lie, they would not be the great yogis they were. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya. What is that? Yama, isn't it? The preliminary practice of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Satya. They could never tell a lie. That is why we believe in whatever they have got to say. That night, 9 o'clock, puja was over. Thakur was sleeping upstairs in his room. The boys scattered after 9 o'clock puja. 1 or 2 of them went upstairs to look after Thakur. Another couple of them went to fetch material for the midnight puja. Naren was sitting there meditating. Another young man was sitting along with him, meditating. Kali. Around 11 or 11:15, there was nobody around. Everybody had gone on some work or other. Naren and Kali were sitting alone. Naren opened the eyes, told Kali, Kali, come closer. Come closer. Kali came and sat next to him. Kali, place the palm of your right hand on my right knee. Whatever may happen, don't remove it. Promise? Kali was 3 years younger to Naren and very much in awe. He used to worship Naren. Said, yes, Naren. Sat there. Naren closed his eyes, went into meditation. 20 minutes later, he opened the eyes and asked Kali, Kali, what did you feel? Naren, I felt electric shocks. My hand started trembling. I wanted to remove my hand, but he had told me to do it. That is why I kept it there with great effort, but I felt electric shocks. And he slowly withdrew the hand, sat down, and Kali went into deep meditation. The meditation was broken only at 7 o'clock next morning. From that day onwards, Kali became a master in meditation. Apparently, Naren transferred some of his capacity for meditation to Kali. But before 12 o'clock, all the boys could assemble. One of the boys, Shashi Bhushana Chakrabarti, came running down to Naren and said, Naren, Thakur wants to talk to you. Naren went upstairs, sat by the side of the bed. In a feeble voice, Thakur told him, what, my dear boy? You have started spending even before you have learned properly how to earn. Don't ever do any such foolish thing again. Who gave you the authority to tamper with Kali? I was training him in a particular manner. Now you have interfered with that. Mother is great. She saved him. Otherwise, what would have happened to Kali? He would have gone insane. Mother is really great. Don't ever do anything like that again. Naren says, I was stunned. How could the old man know what was happening downstairs? Very few knew this story. Sri Ramakrishna did not tell it to anybody. Naren did not tell it to anybody. Many, many years later, in Los Angeles, Swamiji was giving a lecture. There were about 200 people in the audience. Ida Ansel, his secretary in Los Angeles, was the person taking down notes, shorthand notes. She used to collect entrance fee from all the people. She used to provide them with receipts. She would make the seating arrangement and everything else. She was sitting by the side of Swami. Swamiji went on talking for about 10 or 15 minutes, suddenly stopped. He told Ida Ansel, Ida, I can't continue. Please cancel the lecture. Tell them that I can't continue further. If anyone wants the money back, refund the money. Otherwise, I'll repeat the lecture next week. They can come and listen to me. Got up and walked out. He came and sat in his room. Everybody thought that Swamiji was sick. Ida Ansel also. Nobody wanted the money back. They said, next time Swamiji gives the same talk, allow us free. We don't have to pay to enter. Ida agreed. She had the names of all the people also. After 10 minutes, she came to Swamiji's room, asked him, Swamiji, are you all right? I'm all right. I'm perfectly all right. Then why did you cancel the class? You know, Ida, after 10 minutes of talking to these people, I felt as if their minds are all like clay in my hands. I could have shaped the minds any way I wanted. Then I remembered what my Guru had told me. Who gave you the authority to tamper with the minds of others? So what should a Guru do to the disciple? Train the disciple But the disciple has to put in all the effort. You can't transfer the whole lot to the disciple. Naren says, how did the old man know all these things? There is a second incident which happened at that time. Till the month of August, a series of incidents started happening like this. One day, Sri Ramakrishna called Naren to his bedside, whispered to him, he could not even speak properly, throat cancer. Naren, I have done all the 64 practices of Tantra. I have got all these powers. I want to transfer them to you. Will you be interested in receiving them? Naren asked him, why? Why do you want to transfer the powers to me? Oh, you have to do many great things in life later. They may help you. Then Naren asked Thakur one simple question. Will it help me realize the divine? Thakur said, never. It will never help you realize the divine. Then I don't want it. Naren said, I will earn them myself. And Thakur's reply, that's exactly what I expected of you, my dear boy. I am so happy I have taken that attitude. These yogic powers are basically obstacles. Don't fall into the trap. Te samadho upasargaha vyutthane siddhaya. Patanjali himself says that. In the path to samadhi, there are obstacles. But the same Ramakrishna, sometime towards the beginning of August, called Naren to his bedside, went on looking and staring into his eyes, Naren's eyes. Naren also started looking at Sri Ramakrishna. Then he could not gaze at Ramakrishna anymore. He closed his eyes. When he opened the eyes, Thakur had tears in his eyes. My dear boy, I have become a beggar. I have transferred all my siddhis to you. You have to do many great things in life. That is the reason why when Swamiji became very famous, people used to praise him. He used to say, the praise does not go to me. The glory goes to him. It is he who is speaking through me. Many occasions he used to tell the audience, it is my Thakur who is speaking through me. I am only an instrument. In whatever I have said, if there is anything which is truth, that is his. If there is anything which is not true, it is mine. Because how can I ever match his greatness? Throughout his life, he retained that sense of humility in connection with his Guru. One more day, Thakur called all the young people together with Naren. They sat in a circle. He went on giving instructions to the young people and finally told them, Naren will be your leader. You have to accept him as your leader. And he took a promise from all of them that they will obey Naren. He was making preparations for departure. They agreed. Then he sent away all the boys. Naren stayed alone. He spent 2 hours with Naren. What he told Naren, Swamiji never revealed to anybody. Sri Ramakrishna never revealed to anybody. Apparently, they were last-minute instructions and last-minute advisors and last-minute teachings. Appears as if the education of Naren became complete that day. Sri Ramakrishna had one disciple who later took sannyas, Advaitananda. His name was Bodo Gopal, the elder Gopal. He was even older than Sri Ramakrishna. Senior person. One day he brought 12 sets of Gerua cloth to Thakur and told him, Thakur, lots of people from the north come here on their way to Puri Jagannath. Why don't you distribute this set of clothes to them? Thakur said, why? What about these people? What about you people? Are you in any way inferior? So 10 sets he distributed among all the boys. Only 2 he kept with himself. 1 he reserved for Girish Chandra Ghosh. But Girish Chandra Ghosh never wore it. He kept it in the family shrine. And another one was reserved for Balaram Bose. He also refused to wear it. He kept it in the family shrine. These 10 people, including Badagopal, were then told by Sri Ramakrishna to take begging bowls, a vessel, go into Kashipur town, beg for food. And that was the first time when all of them went begging for food, and they had different kinds of experiences. In some houses, the ladies would go on scolding them. Why? It is the age for you fellows to get married and settle down, make some girl happy, and you are wandering like sadhus. So they turned them away. There were some women who welcomed them and gave them a lot of offerings. Different reactions. Finally, all of them brought whatever they had received to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna told Sharda Devi to cook that. Some of them had given dal, some had given rice. So it was all cooked, brought upstairs. Thakur tasted a little and distributed the whole lot to his disciples. And he said, that day, you now have an idea of what it is to become a sannyasi. This is the way you have to live when you become sannyasis. Instruction after instruction. One day, Naren and another of his colleagues was missing. After 3 days, they came back. The other disciples got anxious. Where is Naren? Where is Naren gone? Sri Ramakrishna told him, no, he can't go anywhere, don't worry. I have drawn a circle and he can't go beyond the circle. He'll come back. When he came back, Thakur asked him, say, did you find there anything which you don't find here? Naren said, no. I found the same thing there which I find here every day. Then everybody became curious. What is it they are talking about? Then Naren said, the 2 of us went to Bodh Gaya. Have you seen Bodh Gaya? Fantastic place. The place where Buddha was born. The place where Buddha received enlightenment. He became Buddha with Bodhi. And the place where he entered Maha-Nirvana. The clone of the tree, Bodhi tree, is still there. The original tree can be found in Sri Lanka. The 2 children of Ashoka took the original tree there, leaving behind a branch. That branch sprouted out into a new tree in Bodh Gaya. And you find a beautiful golden image of the Buddha. So Naren and his companion, they spent about 3 days in Bodh Gaya and realized that whatever they had learned from Thakur was taught by Buddha also. With that realization, they came back to Kashipur garden house. Another day, Sharda Devi was missing. Nobody knew where she had gone. She returned after 4 or 5 days. The moment she came to Sri Ramakrishna's room, he asked her, did you get the answer? She said, yes, I got the answer. Others were curious. So they asked the Holy Mother, what is it he is talking about? You know, there is a temple nearby in a place called Tarakeshwar, Shiva temple. I went to the temple, sat in front of Shiva and told him, I will not get up from this place. I will not eat anything. I will not drink anything until you reassure me that Thakur is going to become all right. This is Prayopavesha. Jains have munis, sannyasis, right? Shvetambara, Digambara. You know how they shed their body? They simply fast.
Fast to death.
They fast unto death. Just like that. They leave off drinking water, eating food, and one day they vanish. Prayopaveshana. That is the way a muni should discard his body. Same thing applies to the sadhvi, the female counterpart. They should discard their body purely by starving. So Prayopaveshana. 3 days and night, Sharda Devi sat like that. You can imagine her condition. Her eyes became weak. They started watering, and the tears became dry in the eyes, but still she wouldn't get up. She didn't get any indication. 4th morning, she heard a sound. She says, it is as if there is a whole group of earthen pots, and somebody with a stout stick is breaking them into pieces. Then she said, I got the answer. She thanked Shiva and came back. What is the answer? This human body is like an earthen pot. One day it has to go. What do the Christians say when they bury their dead? Dust unto dust. Right? What do we say? Ashes unto ashes. So she realized the body of Sri Ramakrishna one day or other has to vanish. That is the answer she got. Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said, I am glad you found the answer. You know, that is why when Sri Ramakrishna entered Mahabharata, Sharda Devi did not cry. Because she knew what? Bhagavad Gita. It is only the body which perishes. The one inside the body does not perish. In the very second chapter itself, there are 3 or 4 shlokas describing this. Because of that, she didn't cry. She became tolerant, stoical. She was able to withstand the tragedy very calmly. So life went on like this. Mahendra Sarkar used to come regularly, have talks with Sri Ramakrishna. He also brought another colleague of his, Rajendra Lal Mitra, another homeopathy doctor. They tried their level best, but nothing could be done. So now we come to the beginning of August 1886. Sri Ramakrishna called Shashi Bhushan Chakrabarti, one of his disciples, was a Brahmana. He told him to bring the almanac, Panchanga. Shashi brought the Panchanga. Thakur told him, all right, start reading. Day after day, Shashi went on reading the positions of the stars and planets. 15th also he read. When he wanted to read the positions for the 16th, Thakur said, stop. You need not go beyond that. What was the indication? That he is going to depart on the 16th. Right? From that day, the teaching to all the boys became more and more intense. Until he made all the boys promise that when he is gone, Naren will be the leader, they will obey him implicitly. So we now come to the morning of the 15th of August, 1886. Thakur got up as usual at 4 o'clock, very sick, very tired. He was given a little bit of water to drink. Around 7 or 8, he had a little bit of barley water, porridge, slept off. He slept till lunchtime. Even for lunch, he had some porridge. Again in the afternoon, he slept off. He got up at 5 in the evening, and his disciples found him suddenly cheerful. He started talking cheerfully to all the people. Once there was the change in his voice, his disciples thought Thakur is now on his way to recovery. Made them very happy. But they were not aware of one thing. You must have heard of the Life of the Buddha, an epic poem in English. The Life of the Buddha. It's a very famous poem by an English poet. In that, there is a statement made by the poet. The lamp burneth never so bright, as before it is extinguished. Try to understand it. The lamp burneth never so bright, as when or before it is extinguished. Have you seen an oil lamp? When it is short of oil, it flares up and then dies. That is what he said about Matthew Arnold. That is what he said about Buddha. The same thing applies to Sri Ramakrishna. He was very cheerful till about 7:30. Then he said, I want to sleep. He slept till about 11 o'clock. Seeing that, he woke up at 11, seeing that all the disciples gathered around him. He looked at all of them with a lot of love in his eyes, again gave last minute instructions and said, I see, great preparations are going on for renunciation. Good, good. Continue. He would close his eyes and then open it again and go on talking. Around 12:30 or 12:45, he felt very tired. He closed his eyes and lay himself on the bed. A little before that, he wanted to sit up in the bed. You know, that bed, it is not easy to sit in that bed leaning against the wall. The wall has a sort of a depression. So Shashi came round from the back side, sat on the edge of the bed, offering his back to Thakur, and Thakur leaned his own back against Shashi's back and slept like this. So when Thakur entered Mahasamadhi, Shashi was the person who was in touch with his body. 2 minutes past 1 a.m., Thakur opened his eyes wide and in a very loud voice, unnatural for a throat cancer patient, he said thrice, Kali, 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 and his head over. Mahasamadhi. The boys were stunned. They didn't know what had happened. Immediately one of them started chanting hymns, Vedic hymns, Upanishadic mantras, Bhagavad Gita, and the prayer in Kashi, Hara Hara Vyom Vyom, Shiva Shiva Vyom Vyom. They thought that Sri Ramakrishna may come back. A message was sent to Kolkata to Mahendra Sarkar, who came running. Mahendra Sarkar told them, get cow's ghee, warm it, rub it on the spinal column. Maybe if you do that, the Kundalini will come down and he will come back to normalcy. They did it. Nothing helped. By about 6 in the morning, Mahendra Sarkar and Rajendra Lal Mitra announced there is no more life in the body. The Ganga river was nearby. Some people went and brought Ganga water. They washed the body in Ganga water, draped it with fresh dress, this time not white, Gerwa dress, because he had actually taken sannyas. What was Sharda Devi doing in her room? Sitting silently and praying to Mother Kali. At the moment when Thakur entered Mahasamadhi, she exclaimed only once, "Oh Mother Kali, why did you desert me?" For Sharda Devi, Shri Ramakrishna was Mother Kali. For Shri Ramakrishna, Sharda Devi was Mother Kali. That is the way they looked upon each other. Next morning, the cot was brought down. This is Narendra meditating in Kashipur. This is the stance described in Bhagavad Gita. Samakaya Shiro Grivam Dharayan Achalam Sthiraha. Another photograph in the studio. And this is the group as it came down with the cot on which the body was lying, intact, brought down, covered with flower garlands, so on and so forth. You can see Naren standing there. There is another picture. When the first edition of the Gospel was printed, this picture showed the body of Sri Ramakrishna, which had become jet black, almost charred, jet black. In order to see that, people don't get upset over that, the Ramakrishna Math authorities removed that from the book. And later it occurred to somebody, why should we remove it? Block the body of Sri Ramakrishna. So this is the way they stood around the body. Now you can see Naren standing there with an Angavastram around his shoulders. So that was Mahasamadhi. Huge crowd collected in no time from Kolkata. The news spread like wildfire that Sri Ramakrishna was no more. It was difficult to control the crowd, and the body could be taken to the Kashipur cremation grounds for cremation only around 5 o'clock in the evening. You know, the body of a sannyasi should not be cremated. What do they do to a sannyasi who is no more? He is placed in a pit in a sitting posture, and around and above him a Vrindavana is built. Raghavendra Swamy. That is a procedure. But there was no tradition in Bengal of sannyas. They were all tantrics. The boys were not aware. They simply did not know. So like other Hindus, they decided to cremate the body. Shashi Bhushan Chakrabarti stayed there after the cremation. Late in the night, he collected all the ashes, put them in a vessel, and brought them back to the Kashipur garden house. The next step now. The householders told all the young people, our Thakur is no more. What is the point in keeping this house when he himself is not here? We have paid the rent up to the 31st of August. I think we have to vacate the house on the 1st of September. Naren did not like it. What was the mandate given to Naren? Keep all these young people together and all of you do sadhana together. But was Naren in a condition to do that? His court case was going on. The property issue had not been fully settled. He himself was in financial difficulties. And all the other young people were college students. There was no question of all of them taking a house and living there together. So the householders told all of them, gave them an advice. Go back home. Resume your college studies. Get married, settle down. Live according to the tenets of Sri Ramakrishna. This was the last thing Naren wanted to do. But they were absolutely helpless. Meanwhile, another thing happened. Ramchandra Datta came forward and said, I have a garden house in an area called Kankurgachi. I want to build a temple for Sri Ramakrishna, and below the image of Sri Ramakrishna, I want to bury these ashes. The boys protested. They said no. Naren said no. Our ambition is to build a temple for Sri Ramakrishna on the banks of the river Ganga, which he loved most in his life. Until that time, we will take care of these ashes. Argument broke out. Sharda Devi heard about it, felt very sad. Even the ashes from the funeral pyre are now at cold, and these fellows have already started quarreling about it. Thakur's will be done, she said. So it occurred to one of the boys to do something very clever. He split the ashes into two parts. The original vessel he gave to Ramdada. The second vessel, in which half the ashes were kept, were silently smuggled out to the house of Balaram Bose. Balaram Bose told them, I will take care of these ashes. When you build a temple for Sri Ramakrishna on the banks of the river Ganga, you can take it and install it there. Everybody was happy. 1st of September, they decided to vacate the house. What about Sharda Devi? Balaram Bose came by the end of August, took Sharda Devi away with him to his home. And in the middle of September, with Sharda Devi and his own family, Balaram Bose made a journey to Vrindavan, where there was an ancestral home of Balaram Bose. They stayed there for about 6 months. At the end of that, Sharda Devi came back to Kolkata, then decided to go to Kamarpuku and settle down in the ancestral home. Her story takes a totally different turn now. Sri Ramakrishna's story is over. But our intention is to study the story of Naren. So we'll have to concentrate on Naren's life, but occasionally there is an interface between Naren's life and Sharda Devi's life. At those moments we will remember Sharda Devi. But Naren always used to say, the founder of the Sri Ramakrishna order is not Sri Ramakrishna. It is Sharda Devi, who actually established the entire lot. That is why she was given the name Sangha Janani. Sangha is the Ramakrishna order, Janani, the mother of that. Naren decided to go back home, but he would not keep quiet. Every now and then he would go around, meet his old friends, and go on talking to them. Naturally, the parents of those boys did not like it. They used to tell Naren, don't come and disturb. But Naren simply would not budge. There were a few householders to help him. Surendranath Mitra wanted to help him. Manomohan Mitra wanted to help him. Ramachandra Datta had withdrawn. Master Moshai, the author of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, wanted to help him. But they were all householders. They had their own expenses. So there appeared to be no hopes whatsoever. Until one day, Surendranath Mitra had a dream. I have mentioned this name times. The person in whose home Naren had met Thakur for the first time, and the person in whose home Naren had gone to visit for Durga Puja, where Sri Ramakrishna had made his appearance in that house. Same Surendranath Mitra. He was originally a drunkard. He had been totally reformed by Sri Ramakrishna. He had a dream one night. He saw Sri Ramakrishna standing in front of him with sad eyes and telling him, how can you be sleeping so happily when my children are running from pillar to post looking for a place to stay and do sadhana? Why don't you do something? Next morning, Surendra got up. He called Manomohan Mitra, Master Moshai of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Balaram Bose, and then told all of them, and Naren, and told all of them, I used to spend every month 80 rupees on Thakur's welfare, 80. I am prepared to raise it to 110 rupees. If the boys can locate a home which they can rent and live together, then why not? They can do their sadhana living together. So all of them set out on house hunting. Ultimately, they located a palatial building, very big building, which was available for a monthly rent of just 10 rupees. So they eagerly accepted that building. Is it possible for people to have dreams like this? 30 to 40 years later, a painter, an artist in Vienna, Austria, Frank Dvorak, who had never heard of Hinduism, who had never heard of Sri Ramakrishna, had a dream every night for about 1 week or 10 days of some stranger standing in front of him with sad eyes, night after night. So on the 10th day, he decided to paint him. He painted him, kept the painting with him. Once he had to go to France, he went to a place called Graetz, Graetz. There he met a sannyasi, Swami Yatishwarananda, who was in charge of the Vedanta Society of Graetz. Yatishwarananda took him to the basement, to the shrine. There he saw the picture of Sri Ramakrishna, exclaimed, "He is the one. He is the one who came in my dreams and I painted him." So he went back to Vienna and brought the painting back. Can you have any doubt as to who it is? Look at the left hand. The original painting is in St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States. Very well guarded by Swami Chetanananda, the head of the Vedanta Center in St. Louis. So such things can happen. Around the same time, a lady in New York who used to come and attend Swami Abhedananda's lecture and also the lecture of Swami Paramananda, one day saw in the shrine Thakur's picture and exclaimed, "He is the one, he is the one." She said, "He has come in my dreams several times. Who is he?" She had not known at all. Sri Ramakrishna. Paramahamsa Yogananda, you know how many times in his dreams Sri Ramakrishna has come and given him darshan? He used to say that. Paramahamsa Yogananda. Okay, if you go on thinking of spirituality, you may have the vision. What about people like that American lady and Frank Dvorak, who had nothing to do with spirituality? So what is that palatial building? Would you like to live in this building? Bhoot Bangla. This is the place where Sri Ramakrishna Math originated. The first monastery of Sri Ramakrishna order, Baranagore Math. The building is still there. You know, to maintain a newly constructed building itself is a hassle. But to maintain an old ruin is even more difficult. Why? You don't want to see a single brick missing. The building has been maintained as it was in those days. By the side, a new building has come, new Baranagore Math. And this is where the boys decided to live together, and that was the origin of the Sri Ramakrishna order. So Naren's life now takes a different turn. From a follower of Sri Ramakrishna, he is now the leader of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. He has to show his leadership qualities. Okay? Tomorrow we will see how he discharged his duties and responsibilities as a leader. So we close with a prayer. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.